Well, I was going to mention, I didn't know whether to say thank you 5 times or 3 times, Keith. 5-3, I was hoping to get my extra 30 seconds. But anyway, Len McCluskey, Unite, Moving Compass at 4. Sisters and brothers, there are decades where nothing happens, and there are weeks where decades happen. So said a famous Russian revolutionary a century ago. He could have been speaking of our times. In the last week, we have seen our politics turned upside down and inside out. We've seen our political establishment, including, let's be honest, our own party, have a near-death experience in Scotland. We have seen an elite in a panic because the Scottish people played the role of the child in the fairy story, telling the Westminster Emperor that it has no clothes. There'll be a lot of comment and debate over the referendum. I just want to underline one lesson here today. For me, the most important lesson of all. Working people matter. Their views, their voices, and their votes. For a generation, there have been pundits, including too many in our own party, saying that we can forget about class. They said the working class are not interested in politics. Well, go up to Scotland and see. They said the young don't vote. Well, go up to Scotland and see. See how they've been electrified by political engagement. And let me also say this. We don't want a constitution made by posh boys in checkers. We want one made by political debate with the people. The last few weeks have been the answer, and hopefully the scales have fallen from the doubters' eyes as they realised that it was working people, our people, who were turning their backs on Labour's advice. And we can't say that we weren't warned. But even after the SNP started winning Scottish parliamentary seats in the East End of Glasgow, some in the Scottish Labour Party clung to the mantra of wooing the middle classes. It took a referendum campaign to remind us that you ignore the hopes of working people at your political peril. And conference, let's not be mistaken. This wasn't an upsurge of narrow nationalism. It was an upsurge in defence of our NHS, an upsurge against illegal wars, an upsurge against endless austerity and against inequality. It was a triumph of hope against apathy and fear. And our party has to be the party to bottle that hope. And maybe while we're at it, to bottle whatever Gordon Brown has been taking. We have to lead. Conference, we have to lead. We have to lead the fight for those aspirations in every corner of our nations over the next 8 months. Because it's not just the Scottish working people that want change. Working people, young and old, throughout England and Wales have also had enough. Had enough of the attack on the health service and the gains of 1945. Had enough talk of economic credibility, which means credibility with the bond markets, but not with the unemployed. Had enough of policies trimmed and tailored to a few marginal voters in southern England. So let the Scottish referendum be the tombstone on 20 years of our party's indifference to the interests of the working class. Ed Miliband has said that Labour gets it, that we know we must change if we are to win. The last few weeks have shown us how. Let's capture that energy, that faith in the possibility of democracy making a difference, that confidence that where they see the possibility, working people can shape a more equal, just and caring society. And let's take it to every voter in the land as Labour's offer in 2015. This motion suggests just a few of those ways. Strengthening the collective strength of trade unions, using trade union strength and collective bargaining to tackle inequality, recognising recognising that strong trade unions are not just as a necessity to balance the power of employment in the workplace, but to balance the power of the moneyed elite in society. But of course, conference, and I'm finishing, Chair, our agenda goes much wider. So I say this: enough with caution and hedging our economic bets. Over the next few months, we must mobilise the imagination and aspiration of millions to defeat this ruinous coalition. And when we sweep away the Tories and elect the Labour government the country desperately needs, let's also sweep away the fear and inertia which has shackled us for too long, and stand before the British people as the party of peace, equality and socialist change. I move.